The journey of the Northern Beaches Women's Shelter has been one of passion and one of community. 30 years ago, there were reports done by council and by social work students about the homelessness on the Northern Beaches. And it was my beautiful friend, who has now passed, Mrs. Ellie Hunt, who said, this is not good enough. And it broke her heart that she was hearing statistics that said on the Northern Beaches alone, we were turning away 300 women on an annual basis that needed crisis accommodation. She and her husband, Peter, decided to actually do something about it. And they put money on the table, and what started as the Manly Women's Shelter was born.
I'd done a lot of work in the philanthropic space, particularly with male homelessness. And to be frank, I knew nothing about, or next to nothing about, women's homelessness. And there was a big difference. And the big difference is that you don't tend to see homeless women on the streets in contrast to men, so they're less visible. And the second big difference is that so many women come into homelessness because of domestic violence. My then wife, or late wife, Ellie, came home one night and said, they've been talking about the need for a manly shelter for women, homeless women now for decades, and nothing's happened. We're going to start a shelter. And there was no sort of discussion about it. As we were going to start this thing. And I have to say, my first reaction was that Manly is a fairly well-to-do area. I'd seen no evidence of women's homelessness. I needed to actually research the space. And so I did. And, she was dead right. There was a desperate need for a shelter for the Northern Beaches. And that got us both to working on starting a shelter.
Those people who ever met Ellie knew that she was a woman of action. If she believed in something, if she was passionate about something, she was never going to walk away from that, and that she never did. And she took that interest, she rallied the local allied health professionals, the local councillors, the local state members, the federal members, and spoke with everybody until a shelter was opened, and the doors were opened in November 2010. Now, when you try and lobby government from one local government area, and you're talking to state government, you're talking to federal government, your voice really isn't strong enough. Now, the need to do that on a statewide basis was identified again by Peter and Ellie Hunt. And what came of that was moving from that Northern Beaches area, Peter and Ellie saw the need to set up a statewide organisation that would look at governance, that would look at government liaison. And that became the Women's Community Shelters.
So it was the founders of the Northern Beaches Women's Shelter who actually went on to create Women's Community Shelters to replicate the Manly Women's Shelter model in other communities that had seen a need for women and children who were homeless or leaving domestic and family violence. We certainly have a need for more shelters across New South Wales, because every time we open a shelter on this model, it's full within a week, and we sometimes have women who seek to place themselves on a waiting list for our shelters because they want that assurance of a safe place to go. And that tells us how important our work is. I had the privilege of working with Ellie Hunt for a few months in 2013, and that will always be a very special part of the journey of both Northern Beaches Women's Shelter and for Women's Community Shelters as well. And I hope when I think back on that time that she'd be really proud of what we've been able to build out of Northern Beaches Women's Shelter, now with 7 shelters operating, support for women and kids, and another 2 on the way.
You don't think that you're going to end up homeless. You don't think that this is how your life is going to turn out. You never imagine it until it becomes true. You never think it's going to happen to you, and that's what brought me to Northern Beaches Women's Shelter, because it happened to me. Did I think last year or the year before that this would be me? I would be living in a shelter. There's no way. I had a job, I had a car, I was going to university. I mean, everything like that. I had everything going for me. Did I think I was going to become homeless? No, I didn't. But people look at me like, oh, well, you're not a trauma victim. There's no way. You don't look like a trauma victim. You're not homeless. You don't look like you're a homeless person. But then what does a homeless person look like? My sister's been through similar circumstances to me where she's become homeless. She knew more or less what is the first step I need to take, so that was going through housing. Let me tell you something about going to housing. That was one of the worst experiences of my life. They looked at me like I was so low. They made me feel so incredibly helpless when I was coming to them already helpless. I had nowhere to go. Where else am I meant to go but to the support systems that the government put in place to help you? I was really reluctant to go to a shelter in the first place. This is the first experience that I've experienced homelessness. This is the first time I've been in a shelter. I went to the appointment because I had nowhere else to go. My sister's a single mum with 2 kids. I can't live with her. I couldn't live with any of my family members. So I went to the interview. And at that time I had had so many panic attacks. I sat down, and as soon as I met Narelle, she made me feel so comfortable. And I just knew that I was going to be helped. So I told her, listen, I'm really nervous about going because it's a stranger. I have to trust her that she's going to do the right thing. I've trusted people in the past where they take advantage of you. And with telling my story, it was the first time I felt comfortable enough to tell my whole story to someone that wasn't going to use it against me. Yes, we're homeless, but we're still human beings. And that's what she understands. That's what a lot of people that she hires specifically as well understand. We deserve everything else that every other human being deserves. And that's what Northern Beaches Women's Shelter is really honestly about. I've never felt so much support in my whole life, and it's very unusual for me that this is a complete stranger. These women are complete strangers. They don't know me, but they care about me and support me way more than someone I knew and a familiar face that I knew for years.
It was personal. It felt that they were there for me. It felt like I could talk to them, and it felt quite warm. I was previously, for quite some time, I was very insecure. I felt very unsafe. I was all over the place. I was on a downhill spiral. I was extremely low. Not being able to say that you can put your head on a pillow at the end of the night and feel safe, it's a big thing. It's something that everybody should be able to obtain. And I hadn't for a very long time. And even when I had my own place and I was in a relationship, I still didn't feel it then. I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel secure. And at the shelter, I did. And I had other women around me. So it feels like a community, it feels like a home, it feels like a family actually. With the other women and the workers, it feels like you're a part of something, and it feels good. I used to have a house, I used to have a car, I used to have it all, and then all of a sudden I have nothing, absolutely nothing, and I'm 52. So, sorry, to be able to receive that and take it in and think maybe I am worthy of something. Maybe I am worthy of the love, the care, the attention, the support. Because I found it very hard when I first came out of that relationship, of being able to feel that I could access that support and to be able to say yes to it and not run away from it. Because it was a big thing for me, because I felt like a failure. I didn't feel that I should have been, because of life experiences, that I should have been in that situation, that it was my fault. But it takes some time to realise you can receive those services, you can receive that support, and you're worthy of it. Whether it was the violence, whether it's grief, whether it's sadness and depression, because of all those things that led up to that, you're now in a safe environment and you can breathe.
Do you feel worthy now?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I've got a long way to go. I recognise and I have to say to the workers, to my lovely manager, the manager of the shelter, that I do need help. And for me to progress and get my confidence back and the feel of safety 24 hours a day, and to be able to move on to the next step in life, to be a bit more independent and get my own self-worth back, I need the support of the workers at the Northern Beaches shelter, for sure.
So I'm actually studying a degree in psychology. I just started this year and I waited a long time to do it, and they have supported me every single step of the way.
So the message I'd give everyone at the gala dinner is please take a deep breath. Think of an amount you're prepared to give to the Northern Beaches Women's Shelter. Take an even deeper breath and double that amount, and then sign up. Your money will be spent incredibly wisely, and just think of all those women that are going to benefit from your generosity.